Lekker manier ek kan kuier hier by nommer 1 keuse van Gemeenskap Radiostasie. My naam is Dewald Rooi en dit is lekker om saam met u te kan kuier. Right. Sit agteroor. Ons kry so 'n dosis of 'n sarsie van inligting wat u en ek baie keer ook oor net wonder. Maar ons het vir Brian Stoepek saam met ons. Wat vanmiddag met ons bietjie gaan praat oor iets wat u en ek dalk as algemeen dan ook daagliks ervaar of sien. En dit gaan oor geestesgesondheid. Geestesgesondheid. Mental health. En mental health is baie belangrik. Want selfs in die maand van Oktober dan vier ons land in Suid-Afrika ook wat ons noem Mental Health Awareness Month. And the objective of not only educating the public about mental health, but also to reduce the stigma and discrimination that people with mental health illness are often subjected to. But let me give you guys an opportunity to hear from Brian Stoepek himself. And I will give you, Brian, an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who is Brian Stoepek.
Well, hey, everybody. My name, as you said, is Brian Stupek, and I'm from America, California to be more specific. And I'm a writer, author, novels, and I teach high school English. But I gave most of that up to take on this walk, where I'm going to be walking from Cape Town, South Africa, all the way through to Cairo, Egypt, in order to raise awareness for mental health awareness.
Okay. Very, very, very interesting. Give us a little background on what inspired you to do this.
So I think mental health is such a big thing that, in at least growing up 20 years ago for me, if you were feeling down or if you couldn't control your emotions at the time, you just had to like tough it out. And that was the mentality I was raised in. And I'm still fairly young. I'm 31. But if you can kind of get a grip on what you're feeling and acknowledge that, and maybe you have an underlying condition like a paranoid schizophrenia or a bipolar disorder like I do, then you can really take control of your mood and how you feel and be as productive as you want in life, be as loving, be as careful, be as wonderful to everyone around you. Whereas if you ignore these things, then they kind of grab hold of you and then you have no control over your life.
Okay, very, very interesting. I also alluded to the fact that there's also stigma that's going around with mental health. How big is this?
Oh, it's huge. There's a couple of, so I have a filmmaker here in studio, and we're hoping to raise awareness by filming and creating for my YouTube channel and for my Instagram. But he's not the first person I talked to. I talked to other filmmakers that weren't interested in going with me because I was bipolar and because they didn't see that as safe. I was like, man, I'm a high school English teacher. Like I teach in the like I'm fine. I swear, I promise.
Yes.
But the stigma with it. I remember when I got diagnosed the first time, it was 4 years ago, I thought I was going to be homeless and yelling at cars on the side of the road. I thought that was my future because that's how it's portrayed in movies.
Okay.
And so if I could limit that and, maybe less people will think that they're bipolar and avoid it, therefore the problem gets worse, as opposed to if we talk about it, they'll face it head on and they'll be able to control it and live everyday normal or extraordinary lives to whatever their choice is.
Okay. People out there that might have similar issues, mental health issues, how would you educate them to control or behave in their respective communities?
Community's huge, so talk to people, talk to doctors, talk to specialists. I didn't really know the symptoms, so my whole deal was I would have insane bouts of energy, so I'd be able to stay awake 3-4 nights in a row with no caffeine, no sugar, no alcohol, no drugs. But then I would have depressive crashes for months at a time. So during these high peaks, I would write books. I'd write like a French novel in a week and a half.
Sure.
And I was like, this is fantastic. I'm a superhero. And then I would not be able to get out of bed for 3.5 months. And I'd be crying and I'd be negative. And so it was, I thought I just needed to control the negatives. It's like, well, no, you can't have one without the other, because the body has ramifications. If you go a week without sleep, your body's going to not thank you for that.
Okay. part of the things that you guys will be doing during this walk from Cape Town to Cairo, what will be some of the specifics that you will actually be doing?
So the goal is to interact with communities and people.
Okay.
So this isn't going to be one of those situations where I'm just going to be staying at hotels every night and luxury life
Mm.
and stuff like that. The goal is to get to certain towns, villages, cities, wherever we end up in, and see who can host us, see what locals wish to talk to us, and then start conversations with them and get them talking about it. And maybe it has a ripple effect, like a stone in a ocean, where
Okay.
it'll ripple out, and they'll talk to people, and they'll talk to people. And by the end of my trip, I'll have reached 150,000 people maybe by just starting conversations.
Very, very interesting. Let's start. Let's talk about logistics. When do you plan to start this walk?
I already started. I'm 21 days in. I
Oh,
started in Cape Town.
okay.
I've walked to here from Cape Town.
Serious?
Yeah, through the rain, through the snow. Actually, it's funny. I got hypothermia 3 nights ago
Oh,
in Kamiskroom.
okay. Kamiskroon, yes.
Yeah, and that was terrible. But it's been great so far. People have hosted me. They've taken care of me. We've had conversations. And so this is day 22.
Mm-hmm.
And then I plan on walking for about a year and a half.
And your experience coming to the studio also, elaborate a little bit more about it. You said because you said you walked from Bersig to Okiep.
Yeah, that was our walk today. Normally I walk anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day, but this one was a shorter one because I was just going from Bersig to Okiep.
Okiep, yes.
And it was just 2, but I stayed in Bersig, and it was funny. They said I was the first white American that had ever stayed there. The guy told me that, so I take that as a badge of honor.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And you left the American flag there because I know you guys are most profoundly about your American flag.
If I carried an American flag with me and had to drop it every place I stayed at, my bag would be 17 times too big.
Okay, so 21 days into your journey, how far are you going from here now on? Because are you going back to Cape Town now, or are you walking to Namibia? Which road are you?
So we're going the N7 all the way up to Violsdrift.
Violsdrift, okay.
Yeah, and then from there we are going to there's some river canyon in Namibia.
Oh yes, Kenyan River.
Yeah, and we're gonna see that. We're gonna go up eventually to Windhoek. And then cut east over to Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, and then Egypt.
Shoo. So that is basically your route. How do I get hold of you? Some people might be asking, listen, Dewald, we also want to talk to Brian. Maybe he can inspire us also. How do we get hold of you?
There's a couple different ways. I'm most obviously on Instagram, and it's just my name, Brian Stupek, BRIAN STUPEK. We're also starting a YouTube channel. I'm Brian and I'm bipolar, so it's the Bipolar Show. And I'm sure that anyone who has any questions, they can phone in. We'll give links to the radio station, so you guys can send it out if any of your listeners want a direct link to me or my channel.
Okay. From here on, you're going to Bullet Trap now. Yeah,
so Bullet Trap is we're staying in Okiep tonight. We're still looking for lodging. We'll knock on some doors and see who can host us. And then tomorrow we're going to Bullet Trap.
Okay. And at Bullet Trap, you're going to stay over at Bullet Trap?
Yeah, just one night. We stay one night everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. And you are not by setting up location for staying over, you were going there and you knock at people's house and said, listen, you guys want to accommodate us? Is that the way you guys are doing it?
Yes, that's the way we're doing it. The goal is to stay with locals as much as possible. We have tents if we can't find anybody.
Okay.
But we're on kind of a tight budget, so that leaves hotels kind of out of the question.
All right. Brian, let me take the opportunity to thank you for coming into the studio, and I wish you all of the best on your route.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
You feel the excitement in the
All right. Okay, I hope I covered myself.
Yeah, you're great.
Yeah, it's quick. It's 10 minutes, so